Many veterans are memorialized here in the Metro, but there has been no national recognition for 4 Nebraska sailors, including 3 brothers killed during the Vietnam War.
The Sage brothers of Niobrara and Gary Hodgson of Beatrice were among 74 killed in 1969 during a training exercise off the coast of Vietnam.
Producer Roger Hamer is on your side with the efforts to get the 4 Nebraskans' names added to the Vietnam War Memorial in Washington, D.C.
Gary was the oldest. He was 15 months older than Greg. Greg was 2 years, 3 months older than Kelly Joe.
The Sage brothers served together on the USS Frank E. Evans during the Vietnam War. In June 1969, their ship collided with an Australian aircraft carrier. The 3 brothers and Gary Hodgson were among 74 killed. I interviewed the brothers' mother, Eunice Sage, in 1999 after a memorial in Niobrara was dedicated remembering the 3 brothers.
That was awful. We didn't know anything until Walter Cronkite says the Sage brothers, they don't think the Sage brothers will come home, and that's when I fainted.
When Eunice passed away in 2010, the fight for recognition for the 4 Nebraskans did not end. Thursday, the 4 received recognition at the Nebraska Vietnam Veterans Memorial dedicated in Papillion. Linda Va was married to Greg Sage. She remembers those sad days of suffering and loss.
When we were informed that we had lost the 3 boys, we were just alone. We were alone with the whole town, the whole state, everybody, but we were alone.
Va says the American people didn't forget the boys, neither did the Memorial Foundation. All 74 are now recognized here at the Papillion Memorial.
The whole world cried with them. Eunice come home. Every day she would get 900 letters from all over the world. The world cried for the 74. And I think this celebration here is just wonderful because it has really brought the boys home. It's given them honor, and they'll never be forgotten, lest we forget.
But not one of the 74 is named on the Vietnam Memorial in Washington, D.C. Regulations on who is listed there is limited to death occurring inside a combat zone. The tragedy was just outside that zone. It's a fight that Linda Va plans to continue to give those 4 Nebraskans and 70 shipmates who died on the USS Evans the recognition they deserve.
The wall never acknowledged us. And when Ernie and Eunice were very, very discouraged, I promised Eunice that until I died, I would keep fighting to get their names on the wall.
On your side in Papillion, Roger Hamer, WOWT 6 News.
Efforts to get those 74 names added to the wall are underway in Washington. A bipartisan bill introduced by Representative Adam Schiff called the USS Frank E. Evans Act already has 5 co-sponsors. Nebraska Congressman Don Bacon signed up as a co-sponsor of the bill today.